but he slept with up to 30 women. And the conclusion that he comes to sounds familiar. Check it out.
Tell him I got the juice.
I've 9 girls in a day, and for like a period, it was like more was always better. 4 was better, and 5 was better, but when we got to 30,
What? He got to 30 at one time? I just know without a shadow of a doubt. Everybody who's all down for red pill heard that and was like, yo, that's possible. I really want to get to that. That's crazy. 30 women. Wow. I don't know if I've ever heard of anything like that. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't even gonna hold you. 30 at one time. Wow.
where I'm like, okay, I'm on this 300-foot yacht. I'm with, 27 girls, and it's like I'm miserable. What? I don't know, man. It's like that deep-seated feeling that there's like a lack. And I think a lot of people get caught up in pleasure seeking. I mean, I was head on into it. But I think I'm one of the few people that can actually tell people, that the pleasure seeking isn't the answer.
I mean, this is it just sounds so familiar. We're gonna tie this into maybe a couple passages of scripture that this reminds me of, but really, just to get the gist of everything he's saying, yo, I did it all. Slept with as many women, racked up the body count. It was this, that, and the third, but what it left me feeling was miserable and empty. Not feeling much of what I hoped or maybe thought investigating and investing into this would have done. So let's finish this up.
From a guy that's done it, I think they have a unique ability to then speak to people about like, okay, I've done all this. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the answer. It's not going to lead you to happiness. No.
Boom. It's not. It's not going to lead you to happiness. Like I'm just curious, man. Like at what point do we start taking these kinds of thoughts into greater consideration, and we just start slowing down and saying, you know what, maybe there's something to this, right? Like, even though it might challenge your beliefs, your programming, your paradigm, you have to be willing to look at this and give some considerable thought to it. Maybe there's something to this.
Nobody in the world could have convinced me of what I've learned myself, right? Like somebody could have told you all the shit that and you're not going to believe it. You're not going to. I'm the type of I gotta stick my finger in that light socket. I gotta shock myself.
The dare
and then I gotta
program.
shock myself again and again and again. And I'm about the 4th time, like, okay, we've learned our lesson, but is it still hot? Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm just that guy. So I did that. I don't think a lot of people get to the end of the road, and I went to the end of the road with pleasure. And so I think I have a unique ability to understand that that's probably not the answer.
Man, okay. I mean, he straight up said it. I don't think there's a whole lot that I'm going to necessarily add to this. I want to bring up 2 scriptures in mind that this reminds me of. And it's nothing new, people. Like, really, it's nothing new. This is the first passage that this reminds me of, and I'm going to pull it up here. Ecclesiastes chapter 2 is the first chapter of scripture that I want to bring up that really highlights a lot of this. Chapter 2, verse 10 reads this: I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all my labor, and this was the reward for all my toil. Yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done, and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless. A chasing after the wind, nothing was gained under the sun. I mean, this is prevalent. This is literally a very similar conclusion that Dan comes to. And if you don't think this has any immediate relativity to it, it actually does. If you journey through the book of Ecclesiastes in context, Solomon specifically talks about everything that he could have gained under the sun. He turned himself to no type of he denied no pleasure. He gave it all. And he comes to a conclusion. It's meaningless. Chasing after the wind, much like Dan comes to the conclusion in his promiscuity. And this is the point, man, that I really have been wanting to get to anybody who will give an ear. Is there is something so much deeper to why increasing your body count is seemingly the right way to go, or is seemingly the direction to go, man. I think he's on to something here. I don't know the guy. I can't tell you where he's at in his spiritual journey and his spiritual walk. But if you ask me, to turn to that, just like you would turn to maybe binge gaming, binge watching Netflix shows, and all these different kinds of things, maybe even a workaholic. Oh, there's so many different avenues, man. It doesn't have to always be to those specific extremes. But these things have a tendency to reveal something that is truly wrong or something that is not right within our spiritual status. Something isn't right, and we lose ourselves in the midst of trying to find ourselves through those activities, thinking that that's what's going to heal. And you are often left with the same conclusion that Dan comes to. I felt I was still in great lack, right? And so we know that pleasure isn't the way. Pleasure can't be the answer. Excessiveness of pleasure can't be the answer. Proverbs 22, verse 3 reads this: The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. Now, this is kind of more so towards what he mentions in the last bit of that video, saying, man, I'm the type of guy I've got to experience it and see it for myself, right? To say that there's a necessity to experience something, or at least imply that there's potentially a necessity to experience something before you can speak on it to such a degree. I do think that there's context for that. I do think there are certain seasons and areas in your life where, yes, your experiences and hearing people or wanting to lead people right in the right direction with your experiences, yes, those things matter. Come talk about marriage and all these other kinds of things. Yeah, you definitely don't want to hear that from maybe a guy like myself who hasn't been married. I haven't experienced that, right? There's definitely other things, other people who have experienced such to consider. But when you talk about this specific thing, um, I don't believe that is a necessity for you to experience the end of the road in order for you to recognize that there was nothing at the end of the road. And there's so much value that comes from seeing the danger ahead and taking refuge. Can we like just sit for a second on that? There's great wisdom in just listening to where other people have gone, the mistakes and decisions other people have made, and making sure that by learning and listening from that, you don't go down the same road. There's great value in that. Actually, Proverbs would tell us that that's prudence, that's wisdom to be able to see danger ahead and avoid it. Whereas the fool, the simple, would typically say, I'm gonna see for myself and I'm gonna go, right? And we've all had those moments, right? I'm not saying that, I'm all this wise guy. I've never no, there's so much that I've actually had to go and experience myself, or at least not necessarily saying I had to, but I found myself experiencing that very thing that, man, you know what? I came back. Nah, they were right. They were right. I had no business. No business doing that. No business eating that. No business trying that. I should have listened the first time. And we've had all those moments. But the biggest thing, man, is learn from this. Like, listen to this, y'all. Catch this. Don't be that type of person that thinks the outcome's going to be different for me because I got more game than this dude. I got more gains than this dude. I got more money than this dude. I got this, that. Like, no, like, don't fall into that. Okay. Take heed. Use that video and take heed to what the problem is, man. It's something that is so much greater than how many body counts and how much your body count increases, all those kinds of things. Like it's just so much different. Scripture was right. Solomon was right. And I think the longer that you move forward in this life and you experience some things and you see some things, the more you're going to be like, man, I mean, God is just on point. It's almost like the scriptures were written yesterday. There isn't a need for you to experience the end of the road to find out that there's nothing at the end of the road. Just go talk to somebody who has already been there. Go talk to somebody who has already seen that. Go talk to somebody who has already made a decision that you're thinking about making. And I'm not saying just go talk to anybody, right? Get into the right spaces and the right counsel. Seek wisdom from people who are rooted in truth and in foundations of truth, but I don't think you have to experience that in order to see it. And I think there's great wisdom in looking ahead by asking questions, moving in curiosity, and getting around other people who have made similar decisions or who have made similar mistakes, have had certain things pop up in their lives that are a result of potential directions that you're traveling. This is where getting around older seasoned people makes sense. This is where getting around people who are more mature in their faith makes sense. Like this, that right there, 1000%. And Solomon experienced it before any of us, man. Solomon experienced that, and he lets us know. So then, what's the purpose of life? If that's not the purpose of life, seeking pleasure isn't the answer. Getting your body count raised isn't the answer. Well, what is? Solomon also tells us this. I'm going to share this last verse and then I'm going. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 9. Not only was the teacher wise, but he also imparted knowledge to the people. He pondered and searched out and set in order many proverbs. The teacher searched to find just the right words, and what he wrote was upright and true. The words of the wise are like goads, their collected sayings, like firmly embedded nails given by one shepherd. Be warned, my son, of anything in addition of them, of making my book many books there is no end, and much study wearies the body. Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. Straight up. So if seeking pleasure isn't the answer, increasing the body count isn't the answer, what is the answer? Solomon comes back and tells us, fear God and keep his commandments. There's greater things that are at work than just the physical impulses and passionate desires that are being ran rampant through your mind and through your actions. There's so much deeper things at work. And at the end of the day, the healing begins with a heart transformation. And it begins with creating a foundation in Jesus and allowing him to do a sincere work in your heart, change your desires, and heal the things that are broken. He didn't come to make bad people good. He came to bring the death to life. And I am a living witness of this. Allow him in. Give ear to what Christ has to say. Give ear to what the scriptures have to say. He ain't lying. Proof is in the pudding. And I just don't think that you have to go through a similar experience as Dan. Thankful for his testimony. Thankful that he got on platforms and he shared that and he's been vulnerable with that. And it's intriguing and interesting that that's his experience. It doesn't have to be yours. And you can listen to that and learn from that and move in wisdom moving forward instead of having to come to the same conclusion he did by doing the same things he did, thinking that your outcome is going to be different, because it's not. It's not. So, no shocker, God was right. No shocker, God was right. So, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. If you like this kind of video, definitely subscribe, hit that like button, turn on post notifications so you know the next time we're posting. And if you want to see more reactions to videos like this, thoughts like this, definitely comment below what type of videos you want to see me react, or go ahead and send it to me through my DMs on my socials. Links are also in the description. And this channel is dedicated to building happy, healthy, whole, and biblical relationships. And so we appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. And until our next conversation, be easy and be breezy, my friend. Hey, peace.